Welcome everybody to this Monday of no trading. I'm sure all of you guys are just waiting around, bored as shit. There's no football either. We are here with Greg Gamba, who was a previous intern at Sang Lucci. He's moved on to bigger and better things, and I sit here and laugh as I say that because him and I have quite a relationship. We go back quite some time now, and we're here to talk shit about some of the stories that he had interning with us at the loft out in New York City, some of the stories of the things that he had to do, and then we want to go ahead and get into his sort of evolution. Like, he has grown a lot as far as just this lowly piddly account trader, and also answering emails and things like that for us, into now understanding how he wants to trade, how he's going to go about it. He took a lot of L's that he's going to talk about here. So we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time here. Let's make sure sound is good. Everybody got sound? Greg, you want to say something? Say hello?
Hey, what's going on? I mean, obviously this isn't my first time doing one of these, but this is definitely a more, I guess, personal topic for all of us. So this is going to be a fun time.
Indeed, indeed. Now, obviously, you've seen him and I before here. I mean, granted, if you're in the Sang Lucci world, you're looking at webinars and stuff before, but not to this capacity. So, first things first, man. Let's talk about how did we link up? How did you even get through the doors in the first place? Because I know I didn't want an intern. I know I didn't want any of this shit at all, and I know I did not want any intern here. So, how did you even get through the door? And how did we first link up? How did we first link up?
So obviously we first linked up, I was in the course, and I guess I kind of started my time here off on the wrong foot because I couldn't pay with PayPal.
Okay, so you were in the chat room. You were in the chat room, and you just didn't have any funds, so you couldn't pay through PayPal.
No, it wasn't even a money thing. It was my brother, as you know, my brother's a hacker.
Okay.
So my brother wasn't of legal age at the time, so I let him use my PayPal account. And whatever he did, I got banned from PayPal for life.
Oh, okay. So he's part of the hacker group Anonymous. Can I get an interview here? I need to get involved here.
So I couldn't pay with PayPal, and I know Charlie was really not happy about that. So I had to pay with Chase Quick Pay for the course.
Right.
I was in the course, in the chat, and then right around when I blew up. The $100,000 account.
Okay.
You had Musso. Musso is your intern.
Musso, I remember Zachary Musso. He's online as, I believe his Twitter handle is Musso something.
Z Musso, I think.
Z Musso, something like that. So he was our intern as well, and he was another arrogant fool, let me tell you. So we're gonna get to Greg's story here of how he blew up the $100,000 account. I mean, I want to hear that story. Everybody else wants to hear that story. And again, I know it hits home here for you, but don't worry about it. We over that. So how did you end up as the intern? Like, where did that whole conversation start? I think Charlie tapped you for it first, then hit me up, and I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, I hit you up.
There's no way I'm going to have this dude as my intern.
I hit you up because I guess just before Musso, you'd put something up on Twitter that you were looking for an intern. And I was like, all right, cool.
Right.
So I hit you up about it, and you basically were like, never in your lifetime will you ever work for me. So I pretty much gave up on that. And then, like, 3 months later, you hit me up, and you're like, yo, you still looking to intern or something? And I came in for an interview. I remember I got there like half an hour early, and you guys made me wait outside in the cold for 15 minutes.
I do remember that. I remember I was in a trade, and they were like, okay, Greg's here. I'm like, yeah, just tell him to wait outside.
And then you finally let me up, and I had to sit behind you in this like awkward silence for another 15 minutes as you could get out of the trade. And then you were done, so we all sat down, me, you, Pete, and Charlie, at the table, the big high table in the loft.
Right, the one right in the middle, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys laid it all out. I got grilled.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then
So
he
what was your
sent me
first
home.
impression? What was your first impression? And by the way, everybody just joining us, Greg here was previous intern. He still works with Sang Lucci. As you can see behind him, he is at the Sang Lucci office in New York City right now. You can see that little icon, that little sticker on the window right there to the left. If you're looking at your screen, you see the Sang Lucci sign. So everybody's back there. Ezra's there. Charlie's there. Peter's there, and everything. So, Greg, what was your first impression of us? What was your first impression of the loft? What was your first impression of everything?
All right, so for those who don't know, the loft was really nice, but the walk into the loft was probably the sketchiest walk you'll ever take. Like, in the middle of the day, the loft looked like you could get jumped and murdered at any time.
Yeah, all the girls that came to the loft, every single time they came through the door, they were just like, "Oh my God, we thought we were walking into our death right now." Because when you go up to the staircase, it's like dark, the lights ain't working, it's garbage in there, and you go up to the staircase, you open this big ass door, the elevators ain't working or nothing, and then all of a sudden you see this huge loft.
Yeah, but it was perfect because the loft itself was never actually ever lit. Like, that place, you always had it dark. It was always like sunlight only,
right?
And that was it,
right?
So, I mean, I got in, we talked or whatever, and I mean, I figured you guys were all normal. You and I had our history, so I knew what you were going to be like.
Right. Okay.
That was no surprise.
Okay.
And I mean, you were about what I expected.
No doubt.
Yeah. So that was that. And then. No doubt. I remember so when I came in for my interview, it was like the first time I'd been into New York City in like 5 years.
Right, because you're in Podunk, Jersey, where all the mob Italians live. That's where all the mob,
First of all,
Italians live where you live in Jersey. So everybody who's watching right now, he might be related to the Soprano family and all of that garbage back over there in Jersey. Whatever happens over there in Jersey.
Two things. First of all, the mob doesn't exist. And secondly, I live in a very nice part of New Jersey that is not Podunk at all. But that's a whole other story.
Okay. All right, so first time been in New York City for a while. You're downtown. I remember you didn't know where the hell you were going either. You didn't even know how to get to the apartment. I remember that.
No, so I don't know if I told you this, but I didn't take a cab. I didn't take a subway. I walked from Penn Station.
This dude walked from Penn Station, guys, to the World Trade Center, okay, to get to an interview. He walked from Penn Station on the west side and walked all the way down to the World Trade Center. What a fucking herb, man. Who does that?
Yeah, so...
Could have hopped the train, could have hopped something.
I mean, like, I had khakis on, I had shoes on, I was carrying around a jacket with me, no tie. So, yeah, I walked there and back, both ways. For the interview, I got home, and I was just like, whatever, I'm gonna go to sleep. And then the next day, I think it was Charlie hit me up on Twitter, and he was like, yeah, come back Monday. You start Monday.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So I started.
All right, so fast forward here. Talk about some of the things that you had to deal with that were hard for you as an intern and coming into the loft every day. I know I was very hard on you. So how did we treat you as an intern? And then give them some of the stories.
You really want me to?
Man, put it out there, man. Put it out there.
All right. Listen, the first month and a half, I wanted to kill you every day, and I would. Like, think about how I was going to hide the body, too.
Right? And you could do that with your mob background. I'm sure you could do that.
Yeah, I could have hid your body. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of similar to like my schedule now. I would get into the loft at like 8. You would like roll out of bed. I could always tell what kind of day it was going to be too, because if you were awake before I got there, I knew I was screwed. Right? So like, usually I figured out your sleeping pattern, and usually you would wake up anywhere between like 8:30 and 8:50. Right? If you were up in between that 20-minute window, it was gonna be a good day for me.
Okay.
I wasn't gonna get shat on.
Okay.
So.
Okay, how were some of the? I mean, describe to them how were some of the ways that you did get shat on? I mean, I don't remember these things in particular because I know I shat on you quite often. So explain some things that, let's say, hurt you, that might have hurt you a little bit more than we expected.
Oh, New Year's Eve killed me.
Okay. Give us a New Year's Eve story. Let's get the New Year's Eve story out there.
All right, so...
And by the way, guys, every time I had a party or every time I had something I need to get done that had nothing to do with trading, I would call up Greg and be like, yo, you need to be here. So we would throw these crazy parties at the loft, and I would make Greg be the doorman, for every single one of the parties. He would also break down all the furniture, put it all in my room, and then bring all the shit out. Like, he did a lot of work.
I broke down the loft. I would set it up for the party. I would go home because usually your parties were like Saturday nights.
Right.
So I would go home Friday night. The loft would be set up. I'd come back Saturday at like, I don't know, noon.
Right.
Do ice runs, beer runs. I remember for New Year's specifically, I had to pick up all of the liquor in New Jersey.
Right.
And then I drove it into the city to the loft for the party because it was cheaper.
Okay. And as you can see right here, I mean, this is just a quick picture of one of the parties here. And we would do this literally once a month. We would do this once a month, and, this place would be freaking packed. It would be a good 100, 150 people here. And we would do what, like 30 bottles of alcohol, right? 30 handles.
New Year's was like 15 bottles of vodka, 15 bottles of JMO, 15 bottles of like
some rum, some bullshit,
some random ass stuff that you had.
Yep.
So you had a ton of that, and then, I mean, everything was obviously left over at the end. But New Year's got me the worst because, first of all, I was at the door all night, so you didn't let me into the party until it was like 1:30, and at that point I'm pissed off, like I'm hammered because your friends kept walking down feeling bad for me feeding me drinks.
Every one of my friends that came in here was like, yo, who the fuck is this dude at the door? I'm like, listen, don't treat him like shit, don't worry about it, all right, don't worry about it. And they all felt bad. They went down and they all talked to him. Oh my God, he's so mean to you. Why is he so mean to you? I'm like, yeah, shut up.
And then I mean, I think you should probably tell this one, for obviously nobody knows about this but you and I, but I was downstairs and a group of girls came in and I started, trying to talk to them, told them it was my party. And
Right. I remember coming downstairs and I'm in the doorway and this guy is telling these girls some stories that, yeah, this is my party right here. They were talking to him like they were talking right to him. And I'm like, yo, get the fuck, he's the intern, man, all right? Just go upstairs.
I mean, in my defense, it was my party. I emailed everybody. I got everything. I was standing. It was my party. You were a guest.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so explain some of the incidents that happened in New Year's Eve. I mean, I think we got to throw that out there too. I think there was that girl that threatened to sue us because she was a lawyer, and we charged her, and none of her friends got charged. That happened. What else happened? My boy clocked some dude out in the street. He was bleeding on the street. I don't know what else happened.
Yeah, so, all right, so the first one was the girl. I was given specific instructions that if your name wasn't on the list with like a dollar sign next to it, meant you had to pay at the door.
Exactly.
So, obviously, it was like, what was that, my third week working for you? Everybody had to give me money, otherwise they weren't going to get in.
Right.
So, you were there, or no, you weren't there. One of your friends was there, I'm sorry, one of the guys that helped run the party.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
But he was down there, and he was just telling these girls to go up, and I had already told this one chick to give me like the $20 or whatever it was for her to get in.
Right.
She gave it to me. She gets up, realizes all of her friends didn't pay, comes back down, and just starts ripping me apart. Like, just ripping me, and I'm just trying to like calm her down and tell her relax. Like, it's $20. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And you were down there, or somebody else was down there, and we're just like, you know what? You threw the money at her, and she got escorted out and turned into the whole big thing.
That was a little nuts here.
The police ended up coming.
Police ended up coming a couple times too, man. A couple times, but they always walked in and then walked the fuck right back out, man.
Yeah, well, the second time they came was one of your friends had gotten into a fight out front.
Right.
Some guy with John. And he goes running out the door, and I go running after him, and I'm holding him like by his waist, trying to bear hug him. He threw me, and then just cold cocked this dude bad. The guy took like 3 steps and was out.
Yo, man, he came upstairs and he was like, Lucci, I gotta talk to you for a second, man. He pulls me into the room. He's like, I just laid this dude out. I'm like, all right, chill out here. Let me go downstairs.
Yeah, he ended up bolting out the back door or something, if I remember correctly.
Oh, my God. Talk about the night after. The cleanup after. I mean, how bad did that loft look? You know what I mean?
Oh,
After
so,
these.
all right. Well, this was actually one of the more fortunate situations I was in because you had hired a cleaning crew.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
it wasn't just your party; you had your friends involved, and they were doing
Absolutely.
their things. So you guys had a cleaning crew. I woke up next to Charlie's toilet.
Oh, I remember that. I remember that. I
Yeah.
got pictures of that. Shit, I should have put them up here. That would
You
have
have
been
pictures
great.
of
I
that?
got pictures of yo ass in the toilet, man. In the toilet, man. Yo, and then just for everybody out here, how much smoking went on in the loft, man? How much smoking actually went on? Just in the day to day, that you're in and out all the time.
A
How much smoking
lot.
goes on?
A lot. I mean, most of it. You guys were really good about not really smoking during the day.
During the
Whereas the
day, yeah.
second the second the bell rung and the day was over,
Right.
it was that place. I don't know how your neighbors dealt with it. Like you could
uh,
smell it downstairs. It was bad.
All right, so let's get back on task here. As an intern here for Sang Lucci, obviously it was frustrating for you, but how did it help you, man? I mean, how did we help you? And obviously to the folks out there who are listening to these stories, it sounds kind of brutal and everything, but give them the honest truth. I mean, how did it help you become the dude you are today, just mentally and emotionally, and then we'll bring it all back into trading here, man. So how did it help you?
Emotionally, it probably did more harm for me than good because I had a lot of anger problems for a while. I remember for a while Charlie banned me from taking test boosters because I would
Uh,
just snap.
What the hell is that? Oh, one of those
Like workout
crazy.
stuff. Yeah, workout
Yo,
stuff.
man, these guys, and FYI to everybody out there, the people that we live with, and really Charlie, Peter Zhang, they're my business partners here in St. Lucie. Peter is a workout freak. Greg here is a workout freak. Charlie is just like a body freak. He needs to know everything about his fucking body. It's white people shit. To me, it's that's all white people shit, right? And Peter would take all these pills before he goes to the gym, right? He had the jacked. What else did he have? He had the animal packs, right?
Yeah, he
And
had
you'd
like,
think,
protein
dude,
and stuff.
I remember he gave me one of those animal packs. I popped all those pills, dude. I shit out a small animal a half an hour later. I shit you not, man. A small animal came out of my ass 30 minutes after I took that fucking animal pack. I'm like, dude, what are these people doing here, man? So you were on that kick, and again,
Yeah.
go back to
I mean,
explaining here.
so how it helped me, I mean, I did I pledged a fraternity. I was in a fraternity. So I knew, like, I don't want to say, yeah, I knew what it was like to get hazed, I guess,
Right.
would technically be the term, or pay your dues, whatever you want to call it.
No doubt, no doubt.
But, like that, stuff like that, it's just like, oh, that's college, whatever, but, like, doing it in the real world, all right, this is real. Like, this is what it is. And then, obviously, over time, I kind of just realized it was all a game.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys would always play your little mind games, and then eventually I started playing them too.
Absolutely. You got hip to it.
So-
All right. So you got a little smarter. Okay. Has
Yeah,
it helped you as far as the relationships that you have with other people? I mean, has it helped you to further figure out who you are as a person and to figure out where your
made me
place
grow
is?
up.
Okay, no doubt.
I mean,
Which was the intention. That was the intention,
Listen, I was 22 when I did my intern thing with you, and
Yeah, young buck, man.
I mean, compared to all of my friends, I was really mature, but I guess like I realized in the grand scheme of things, I ain't shit.
Right.
I mean,
No doubt.
I'm still
No
just
doubt.
a kid.
No
And
doubt, man. Which is one of the greatest
sucks.
things. By the way, anybody who's watching this, and you guys are young bucks here, 22 or 25 even, who haven't realized that yet, I mean, that's one of the most important things that I realized as a kid. And as soon as Greg came in the door, I knew he had my personality in the sense that he was arrogant, he was ego, he knew he could achieve a lot of things, but he didn't have the work ethic to be able to pull all those things off yet. And that was my thing with him. It was always like, listen, every day I'm going to remind you that you ain't shit until you freaking figure it out yourself. And when that day comes, it's going to be a lovely day. It's going to be a lovely day, and as I'm sure it was.
That's just it, really. I never lost. Listen, I'm an arrogant person by nature. That's just how
No doubt.
I was bred.
No doubt.
So I never lost that sensation that like
Of
I can
course.
do whatever I want, that
Of
egotistic. But I realized that if I'm gonna talk this game, like if I'm gonna live like that, then
Right.
I need to put the work in to make sure that it's backed up.
No doubt. No doubt.
Otherwise,
No
there's no
doubt.
point.
Do you find that a lot of friends, and I'm just talking like generationally, and again, I feel like every generation has some beef with the previous generation. We're always going to talk shit and all that kind of stuff. But do you find that in your friend circle, you know, the younger crowd, the ones that are still in college, the ones that are just out in college, do you find that they lack that certain feature about them? They find that that they lack that characteristic about them.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of fortunate to have been grown up in two totally different worlds. Like
Okay.
I grew up and was fortunate enough for a while to do private school and was around people whose dads were brokers and portfolio
Okay.
managers and that
So
thing.
you saw that lifestyle. You saw that lifestyle.
And those kids have no work ethic. Or
Okay.
the ones that I know. The ones that I know that I still keep in touch with are living off their parents' money.
No doubt.
And you know what? Good if you can do it, good for you. God bless.
Right.
But I also, I mean, my parents split, so I also saw the other side of that lifestyle and everything. And those friends that came up in, I guess, more of a rougher style of life, upbringing, whatever,
Right.
they work hard. I mean, and
Hell yeah.
those are the kids that I talk to more.
Hell yeah. No doubt.
I mean, we always work, so.
No doubt. All right, so let's bring it back to trading here for everybody here, and I really want to talk to you about your progression as a trader and where you are now and the lessons that you've learned sort of along the way, whether they be it with us or the 100,000 thing. So give us like a quick snippet here before the $100,000 loss. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk where you are. So give us a quick snippet of what you were doing before you amassed, 100,000 in profits.
I mean, obviously, not right before, but pretty damn close to right before I was in the boot camp. I took the course.
Okay, but
And
weren't
then-
you trading like penny stocks and shit like that before
Yeah, so
even coming to
before
me?
that, before I came to the options realm, I was doing penny stocks, and I mean, listen, let's be realistic. A lot of that stuff is just a crapshoot. But
Okay.
I had some friends at the time who were kind of behind pump and dumps
Okay.
and stuff like that. They would help
Right.
companies liquidate.
All right.
And, you know,
Again, that's the mob world that you came. Okay. So no
And
doubt.
I mean, you hear things with no real evidence behind it.
Right.
But,
Right.
I mean, we all had our hustle.
No doubt.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I was big in the penny world. I personally never really got into the pump and dump side of it, but I would trade that action because there was edge.
Right.
And I took the course, got into options more seriously. I mean, I knew what options were, but I had no idea how to trade them. And then learned that, jumped in there, went prop. You actually told me to go prop because I needed more leverage. I needed the capital.
Right.
So I took my 56.
You took the 56, and at that time, guys, like previously, prop traders didn't have to take the 56. This was a new rollout, kind of like in 2013, I believe it was, or 2012, one of the years.
Yeah.
And you had to take this licensing exam. So I gave him all the info. He went ahead and got set up at WTS, correct?
Yeah, I took the test. Did really well at first. Got up to like 105, I think it was.
105,000?
Yeah.
Just trading options.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got up to 105.
I mean, you hear that and it all sounds great, but looking back, I was taking ridiculous risk. I mean,
Okay, but regardless of what you were doing, you got up to 100,000.
Yes.
Give everybody your mind state when you were at 100,000. I already know what it is. I already know what it is.
You and I have talked about this. My mind state was pretty simple. I'm gonna go buy myself a new Range Rover off the lot. I'm gonna put my mom up a little bit. I'm gonna get a badass penthouse apartment in Jersey.
Yep.
Bottle service down in Hoboken. You know.
Yep. Okay. All right. So all the things that and we'll talk about this again. We'll bring it back again. Like wanting those things, unfortunately, it leads to some bad decision making on part of your trading. So let's go into the $100,000 loss, man. Tell us what happened, man.
Yeah. So.
Give us some details, man. Like, tell us
here's the background.
How many contracts?
Here's the background. You had just started toying around with selling contracts.
Writing options. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were in the chat, and one day you were talking about you wanted to sell like 100 contracts of something.
Okay.
I was like, you know what? If Lucci can do it, I can do it. So. Fuck it, why not? So I did it. I sold. God, what was it?
I think it was Amazon, wasn't it?
No, it
Amazon?
was Apple. I know it was
Okay,
Apple
it was
stock. I
Apple.
just don't remember how many
Okay,
or
it was
what
Apple.
strike. But
Okay, now do you know
basically,
if you were on the call side, if you were on the
I was on the
downside?
put. No, I sold puts. I
Okay,
sold
what
puts.
was Apple doing? So you sold puts.
No, so
Apple.
the stock was great. I mean, it
Okay.
was like the end of the summer, just before August, and I had sold puts. The stock was just kind of sitting there. It wasn't going any lower. I sold them, and then for like the next 3 hours, they pushed the stock against me.
Right. Okay. So the stock started falling. Do you remember what price Apple was? Was Apple at like 680
Nah.
at this time?
If
Was it at
if
690?
if I can get a historical chart, look at
No, no,
like
no. You know, we don't. We want to run through this. So if you can't remember, don't worry about it.
nah.
Okay. So
But
you
yeah,
sell a
so
shit ton of puts,
I
and
maxed my account out with leverage and everything. Everything that I
okay.
could have thrown into it, I did.
Okay. Okay. Now, so the stock started going down,
Yeah,
and hence the value of the puts.
literally
Right.
right after I sold the puts,
Okay.
the stock just kind of fell. Like
Okay.
somebody pulled their bid and just waterfall.
Okay, so it was a waterfall. You're sitting there looking at it. Tell us what's going on in your mind, man. I mean, what are you telling yourself? Holy shit, I'm fucked. Or are you telling yourself it's coming
No,
back?
at first I was sitting there reading the tape, and I'm like rationalizing it. Like, all right, like
Okay.
it's just a little fall, whatever, nothing crazy. Market was holding up, everything was looking good, and then
Okay.
little by little, I was like, shit, like this is no, this is not good. This is
Okay.
really bad.
So at that time, you're down what? 50 grand. You're down.
The time I started freaking out, I was probably down like 65.
Okay, so you're down 65 grand on a $100,000 account, and you can't wrap your mind over covering the position because what? You're addicted to the $100,000 that
No,
you were at.
it wasn't even the money side of it. It's just I was looking at the trade and it just wasn't adding up.
Okay.
It's like kind of what we see right now with like the market gapping up 20 handles out of nowhere.
Right. Yes.
Doesn't the logic behind it? And I was sitting there trying to rationalize like what's
see.
going on.
I
None of
see.
this is adding up.
Okay.
And then eventually I just kind of was like, I have no choice right now but to blow up this account. So
Okay.
I took the loss. I ended up with, I want to say, $3,000 left over in the account when all was said and done.
3 fucking grand, man. There you go. There you go, guys. You hear it first. All right, man. So
I dropped off. I
you
vanished.
dropped off. I know you were hurting. You were still working with us, though. You were still working
No,
with us at the
that was-
time.
So what do you mean by working though?
I don't know. Like you were off.
I was still in the chat.
Yeah, you were, but you were at your house. You were still answering emails and stuff for us,
No,
right?
that was before I was an intern.
Oh, that was before you were an intern.
Yeah,
Okay,
this was
okay.
the summer before you let me intern.
All right, so you blew up, and you're now thinking, okay, I'm gonna start over. So how did you go about gaining back your confidence? I mean, this is something that everybody's
I
gonna
didn't
want to
even-
know here too. I mean, how did you go back and say to yourself, you know what? I'm not done here. You know, this game's not over for me. I took this loss, but I'm fucking coming back. You come there to work with us, and this is now brought into your evolution. So what did you tell yourself, man? How did you scrape yourself off the bottom?
I was broken for like 2 or 3 months. Like I just didn't even look at a chart.
No doubt. Did you go to the gym now? Did you go to the gym?
Yeah, I went to the gym every day. That was
Bro,
the
you
only
don't-
thing I did.
Do you even lift, bro?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So, but then, I mean, it's kind of like lifting, right? So when I lift, I get into this like pattern where I'll lift for like 4 or 5 months straight,
Yeah.
and then I'll just get bored and I'll stop.
Okay.
And then I'll wake up one morning and be like, I just hate everything about me right now, and I'll
Right.
start lifting again. So that's kind of how it went with the whole trading thing.
No doubt.
I was working at the garbage company, running that,
Okay.
and I woke up one morning, and I was like, fuck this. Like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm waking up. It's like to go drive a garbage truck for my family.
Right.
I'm good. Thanks anyway.
All right, so something clicked. Something clicked. You came back to us. So let's fast forward here. And by the way, Greg, do you have the chat feature open on your webinar? They got some questions for you here that you're going to want to answer. CV's asking how much cash did you start with at WTS, and did they give you leverage on the options? Alex here is feeling for you as well. Guys, everybody who's here, obviously feel free to throw out in the chat, talk, say what you want to say. So, Greg, after you work with us, right, you hit rock bottom. You come back and say, all right, fuck this. I'm done feeling sorry for myself. You come back, work for us. We beat the shit out of you too. And explain where you are now mentally and then also explain. Let's also talk trading and where you are as you're trading things. So how are you different mentally than when I met you? You know what I mean? Walking through that door, looking real green and ego and
Well, I
all
mean,
that.
mentally, I understand the work that is required for me to get what I want.
No
And
doubt.
I think the biggest problem for me right now is kind of solidifying what it is that I want, because it's like, I mean, obviously, my thing for a while has been I want my own fund. I want to manage a whole bunch of money and go that whole route. But then you see all these guys that, I mean, I even see it with you guys sometimes, like the headache that comes with that.
Yes, lots of
And it's
headaches,
like,
lots of headaches. Charlie behind you,
yeah,
Charlie does a lot of the investor management. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? And the investor management sometimes, if we're on a drawdown or whatever the case is, Charlie behind him has to admit certain truths and has to be very honest and forthcoming with investors who, let's face it, let's say that they're not that happy, and to be able to manage all those things and those expectations, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So I know you see that too.
yeah. But I mean, it also comes back to the whole like, if you can do it for someone else, then why not just do it for yourself? You
No
know,
doubt.
and
No doubt.
that's the cool part about what it is that we do, is that like I don't need a boss to trade. You don't need a
Nope.
fund to trade.
Nope.
Like that's just the nature of what we do. But at the same time, in your progression as a trader, or I guess as an entity within trading, what's more important? The leverage that comes with taking in outside capital because you have more money to play with, or the peace of mind that like no matter what happens, it's still just your money. You don't have to answer to anybody. So I mean, like I want to fund and I want to go that whole route, but
Okay.
sometimes I wake up and I'm just like, you know what? I'd rather just kind of work for myself and
Okay.
tell people to go screw themselves.
Cool. Very cool. All right. So tell everybody where you are with your trading right now. I'm actually very interested about it too because you've now started to incorporate, or at least trying to incorporate some automation here. So
Yeah.
so what are you trying to do as far as your trading now? What's your
So
strategy that you're going to go for, and what are you trying to automate?
all right. So strategy-wise, right now, I'm trying to stay more. I guess it'd be mid time frame, couple weeks to maybe a month and a half out, just
Okay.
swinging positions.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of that obviously is because of the fact that I think that the market's just kind of going to float higher again this year.
Okay.
So that should be the easier trade.
Yeah, a lot of the price targets,
Yeah.
all the big banks have put price targets of SPY 225, 230, 240, 250 even. I've
Yeah.
seen some as high as 275.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think 250 is probably where I want to put my line at. But
okay.
I mean, as far as the automation side, I'm never going to be like full automated.
Okay.
That's not something
Right.
that
It's not something that you and I do. I mean, that's something from
no.
behind you with our boy Ezra
Yeah.
here. You see in the back. I mean, he's full automation. These two, Peter Zhang, Ezra Rappaport, these guys are full automation. Him and I, Greg and I, we have sort of an intangible thing going for us about tape reading. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
About reading buyers and sellers, about reading the correct names to be in and all that kind of stuff. So you, I'm assuming, just want to automate maybe position sizing and maybe your exits? Is that what you're going for?
Yes and no. So I have actually an entire list of things that I want to get automated. Kind of ranging from like big size position entries,
Okay.
to obviously big size exits, and then obviously my crown jewel is I have this like theory that I think can predict over the next 5 or 10 minutes what a stock's going to do.
Okay.
The idea behind that is, I mean, you and I talk about it privately all the time, where there's situations where we know that we should not be trading options,
Absolutely.
because the market's just not going to facilitate that kind of action, but we have
Absolutely.
to. But we have
Absolutely.
to make that money.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, the thought behind it is if I can code something up based on my theory in equity, then the days where I don't want to trade, or I don't think it's the right time to trade options, I don't have to. I can pick
Okay.
up 25, 30 cents on the equity and make that trade hundreds of times the
Great.
cost of the market.
Great. So that becomes an automated thing and not emotionally driven by you, which is going to want to trade options during periods where we shouldn't be fucking trading.
Right. Well, it's the same theory behind like having some sort of income coming in while you're a professional trader. You know,
Okay,
like
no doubt.
so
No
the
doubt.
entire reason why Sang Lucci started was so that you could separate the risk that you were taking in
Yes.
your trading from your
100%
living, your
absolutely.
income. So
Absolutely.
it's kind of the same idea behind what I want to code and stuff like that. But I mean, I think the bigger part of it for me is the challenge. I mean, obviously Ezra is probably one of the smartest guys I'll ever have the ability to meet.
He's a very smart character, man. Harvard
Yeah,
grad, you know, a lot of things going for him on the
but
intellectual aspect of things. Yeah,
that's the fun part of it though, because I didn't go to Harvard,
that
and
is the fun part
I
of
would
it,
never
man.
have gone to Harvard. But I think I have the ability to be just as smart, if not smarter than some people who did.
No doubt,
If
no
I can
doubt.
put myself in the ring and I guess put my competitive nature up against his intellectual nature, we'll
Right,
see what happens. And
no
that's kind
doubt,
of what
no
I'm
doubt.
going to do.
All right, so give everybody here, and I know a lot of people here are also thinking about possibly doing the same thing with their strategies. There's certain things that they want to automate. I mean, you as somebody who didn't know much about automation prior to now dabbling, what is the path that you took to add a little bit of automation here? I mean, I know
Yeah,
you're trying to
so,
study Python, but is
yeah.
it as easy as just learning Python and then writing some shit in TOS and then bam, you're good, or what are you doing?
Well, all right. So first of all, what I'm trying to code is not going to be put in Thinkorswim. I'm trying to get my hands on legitimate like API. So stuff that I
Okay,
would get from interactive brokers. I know does it.
right.
I think there's a couple other places for retail that does it.
Absolutely. So
I
you link
am
into their API, you post your source code, and then bam, your program starts trading.
yeah.
Okay.
So
But
that's kind of
how are you building that source code? Granted, you don't know much about computer languages. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
So obviously, like you said, I'm coding in Python. I started with the Codecademy course,
Okay.
which is really, really, I don't want to say easy, but it's a great place to start if you have no coding background.
Okay, tell everybody where they can find this shit. Let's put it in
Yeah,
the chat.
so
What is this?
I unfortunately can't get my hands into the chat. I don't know why.
Oh, okay, I'll do it for him.
Yeah, so it's code, C-O-D-E, Academy,
Yep, I
CADEMY.com.
got it. Tracks Python right here. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great place to start. That's
Okay.
what I did. The course says it takes like 13 hours, but if you're diligent about it, you should probably be able to finish it in a week and a half.
Okay.
And then from there, I mean, the biggest part of all of this is kind of figuring out the logic, like
Right.
how your brain works and what you're trying to accomplish versus how the computer is going to be able to do the
Right.
same thing.
Right. It's being able to understand how to tell the computer, what you need to what you need to get done.
Right, and I mean that's the biggest issue with trying to code tape reading or trying to
Okay.
make that something that the computer reads, because a lot of it,
Right.
like you said, is intuition, what we feel.
Right, exactly. Which is hence why you don't want to go full automation. You
Right.
want to have,
Exactly.
you want to have your decision making there, but where you're losing things to emotion and greed and all that kind of bullshit.
Right.
Presumably, this is the stuff that you want to automate. Okay, so how long do you feel like you're out as far as coming up with a viable, strategy that you can start trading with and you can get back to work?
Well, so I broke down what I'm trying to do into three little, I guess it'd be programs, if you want to call it. So the
Okay.
first one is really basic. Don't really want to go into too much about it, but
Of course.
it should be done within the next couple weeks, and then hopefully, assuming everything goes right, I want to release it on the site
Okay.
to help people,
Great.
because it's based off the tape, and it should help people learn the tape.
Very cool. Very cool.
But what I've done with these projects is each project teaches me how to do like a specific task that will feed into the prediction thing, the completely automated program.
Right. Right.
So it keeps it fun. I mean, realistically, I'm probably looking at another 6 months
Okay.
to a year of coding and then back
But
testing.
it seems
and all
like
that.
you're a lot more patient now. It seems like you're a lot more patient. You've understood, like, hey, listen, if this is the way I want to go about it, then this is the work that I need to put in, and you're not out there throwing shit around like that. You're not out there,
Well, it's also completely new. And I mean, I tried the way that I've done this is I've pretty much just thrown myself into the lion's den,
Right.
and I'm telling myself I can either fight or I can die.
No
So
doubt.
when you put it in terms like that, I mean, I'm literally forcing myself to learn things at a speed that I probably shouldn't be.
Okay.
I mean, this stuff it's not hard, but the logic behind it
Right.
A lot of times is just really stupid. I gotta be honest. I think the guys who create this code stuff are really not as smart as they think they are.
Okay. All right. All right. No doubt. Well, let's
Yeah, it's
let's
fun.
let's break off that for a second, and let's leave them with some takeaways here. As far as the young cats that are trading out there, that are starting out trading, 19, 20, 21 years old, 22 years old, what's the best piece of advice that you could give them? And what's the one
Be
thing that you want to say to all of them that they're just not seeing?
All right. So a couple things. First off, be prepared to lose money,
No doubt.
and be prepared to lose a lot of money if
No
you
doubt.
want to really take this seriously and make a career out of this. I mean, I think I've blown up, including the prop account, 4 or 5 accounts.
Okay. Okay.
And but at the same time, I don't look at it like it's just the price of doing business. And I'm young,
No
so
doubt.
for me to go and lose $5,000 when I was 22, 23,
Right.
really, I mean, what? Okay, so that's a couple weeks or months of me not going to the bar, but
Right. Right.
that's
Yeah.
not a mortgage, that's not a car
Right.
payment,
It's,
that's not
right.
a
Exactly.
wife and kids.
Exactly.
So
So
if,
what would be that piece of advice that you would say to
if you're gonna
to
do
the
it,
younger
do it
folks
now.
out there? If you're gonna do it when you're
if you're gonna
younger.
do it while you're young, and also realize that there's a lot of work that goes into this.
What kind of work? I mean, what are we saying here? Are we talking about mental
I mean,
work? Are we talking about
You're talking about across the board. I mean, mental work, strategy work.
Okay.
First, I mean, the biggest thing is obviously finding some sort of strategy that kind of gels with your personality.
No doubt. No doubt.
Because, I mean, like guys like you and I, we're kind of extreme in
Yes.
everything that we do.
Absolutely.
We're not going to be able to sit there and play around with a strategy that'll make us 5% a year.
Absolutely
It's
not.
just
We can't do that.
Yeah, no, we need the action. So find a
Indeed.
strategy that fits your personality. Even once you find that strategy,
Right.
you're gonna have to tinker with it and put the
Okay.
time in to understand what's going on.
Okay.
And then obviously the mental side of things, understand that losing money is natural.
Right.
You're going to push every part of you at
Right.
one point or another. I mean,
No doubt.
the
No doubt.
breakdowns are realistic. That's why I go to the gym.
Okay, and I'll end with this tidbit is that when Greg walked through those doors, like I didn't want to see him there. I didn't want to see him there every single day. I really didn't. I didn't, just simply because like for me to have somebody work with me. It's a pretty difficult thing. I'm a pretty difficult person to work with if you're, somebody that I have to train, I have to teach, I have to do all these kinds of things. And, I don't want to say we broke the kid. The kid was already pretty broken in, but he had a lot of ego. He had a lot of ego that came in with him. And I had that too. And I had that even in New York. It was just a different level of ego. And I'll say one thing, and I know Greg can attest to this, and, actually we're dealing it with right now with our new intern, Mr. Zach here, who won't shut the fuck up either, and you have to swallow that ego. You have to. You have to realize at some point that it's the ego that holds you back from true understanding, from the truth that you need to eventually accept. Would you agree with that, Greg? And if so, how long did it take you to get there, man?
I mean, yeah, I agree with it, but I also think like the ego and all that is a very important tool that if you
Right.
can learn
It's
to
like
use
it's like a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah,
It's like this balance that you have to be on some kind of an even keel of not too much ego, but you need to have some.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is if you have that ego, you better have the work behind you to
No doubt.
validate it. Otherwise, it's just
No
you
doubt.
talking. But I mean, for me, you and I talked about this again this morning. Actually, I set myself back a long time while
Okay.
I was interning because I just wouldn't stop talking.
No
I
doubt.
just, like,
Yeah.
I had an opinion on everything. I had an answer for everything.
Right.
I would listen, but would just hear. I wouldn't actually listen.
Exactly. Exactly. That's that. But then again, that's the arrogance of youth. And the arrogance of youth, I found out, obviously through the hard way, the same way that Greg found out, is that it's debilitating at some point, because yes, it's good to have it to continue driving yourself to achieve and have success and all that kind of things. But you're also not going to pay attention to a lot, and also take the wisdom that is bestowed upon you from a lot of the people that have been in the game already. They've been through what you've been through, you know? And it's the same thing about, you know, kids not listening to their parents. Parents have all the wisdom in the world, but we ain't trying to fucking listen to them. We ain't trying to listen to them. And then when you get to my age and you look back at all your mistakes, you're like, damn, Dad.
Yeah, but you also have the personality that makes people like me want to try and take you on.
Absolutely. I agree.
So you fed me, and then you would yell at me, and then I would feed into you again, and then it was a vicious circle. It literally lasted like 6 months.
No
I got
doubt.
my ass kicked twice because of it.
No doubt. All right, man. Well, let's leave it there. I mean, we've been on for a good 45 minutes. Hopefully, everybody, you guys enjoyed the show. Greg, any parting words here for the Young Bucks? I'm still waiting for that soundbite from you for the Young Bucks out there, man. Any parting words? Give us a little something.
I mean, yeah, and I think this is something that you definitely taught me is, like, in this industry, we can deal with dumb people, but we can't deal with people who have no work ethic.
No doubt. No doubt, that's huge.
That's it. That's people
huge.
who are in college get used to it.
Get used to it. Get your shit together. Get your shit together early. You know what I mean? Get your shit together early, man. Prove your worth, guys. Prove your worth. All right, everybody. Glad you guys could join us. Tune in next Monday. We're going to try to have Haim Bodick on for you guys for Monday, and he can talk about the recent, filings, lawsuits from Bats about their dark pools, and yeah. So hopefully we'll get something from the HFT world. You guys know where to find Greg at the Greg Gamba, I believe, on Twitter. Is that correct?
It's Gamba.
Oh, man, fucking Gamba. You know, white people have been saying my damn name wrong for years, man, all right? It's time I said a white man's name incorrectly, okay? It's
I'm
at
just saying.
the Greg Gamba.
You think maybe you could be saying your name wrong?
Oh, fuck you, man, all right? All right, everybody, take care, Greg. I'll see you soon, man.
All right, goodbye.